Hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping well out there today. Um, in this video today I thought I would tell a story of an accident that had happened to me in the past. Um, what happened to me in the past was I broke the femur bone in my right leg. Um, so I did, and how it happened was my dad had this Ferguson 20 tractor, and he was after bringing me for a ride around on the tractor, and I was only about 6 years old, going on 7 years old at the time. So anyway, as I said, my dad brought me for a ride around on the tractor, and then next thing, we were just after finish. We were just after just we were just after finish riding around on the tractor, and I got down first, and I think my dad got down next. Now, when this happened, I'm not sure whether my dad was only like halfway down or whether he was fully down or whatever. But anyway, um, for those of you that know about tractors and know about the likes of the Ferguson 20 whatever, you know that I was able to. What happened was I was standing on the ground, and you see, then I decided. I decided then, oh sure, I'll just have a go at starting the tractor myself. And at this stage I was standing on the ground, and the position I was standing in was I was standing between the small left front wheel and the small left back wheel, and like I was standing in the middle between the two of them, and so then like from where I was, it was easy for me to access the ignition key and turn the ignition with my hand. So anyway, whatever way the tractor was something to do with whatever way it was made to start in. The way, like, if you have a thing in neutral, it's not supposed to. The other way, if you have a vehicle in neutral, it's not supposed to move anywhere when you turn the ignition, which is natural enough. I whatever happened, whatever way this tractor was done or whatever, as soon as I twisted the ignition, the tractor like moved off by itself, like it had a mind of its own, sort of thing, And I tried to get out of the way, but unfortunately I was too slow to get out of the way in time, and the big back wheel of the tractor ended up catching me by the back of my foot, and I naturally enough I fell on the ground, and the back wheel then crossed over my thigh bone and broke my femur bone, and it also got the bottom end. It's also got the lower end of my left leg as well, but it didn't break that. I'm not sure exactly what it did, but it didn't break the bottom of my left leg anyway. But I did have to wear a bandage on it for a few days. But anyway, after this had happened, well, naturally enough, I was lying on the ground, and it happened in my dad's workplace. I was with my dad in his workplace, and it happened there. And next thing is, not long after it happened, a few minutes after it had happened, my older brother arrived on the scene, and he said to himself, like, what the hell had happened, And when he saw me lying on the ground and my legs swollen up like a balloon, you know, the leg that I broke the femur on. So anyway, they um, they they lifted me into a car and brought me down to the local doctor near where we live, and so then I was brought then to the local hospital and into the E&D department, like, and I seem to remember I was lying on a table, and they they were putting the needles into me, like, for the drip, you know, to, I think it was to prevent me from going into shock, as I know you can after a femur fracture, because you lose a lot of blood. And so anyway, and I remember my older brother came close to passing out, because when he saw the doctors and whatever putting the needles into me, you know. And so anyway, that was grand. And other bits I remember is them cutting. I was wearing trousers, and green trousers I was wearing, and I remember the doctors getting a scissors and coming on with the scissors and cutting the trousers away from my leg. And yeah, and then they sent me in for x-rays, I think. And I think I remember being in pain. Oh yeah, then, yeah, my mother, before I went in for the x-rays or whatever, my mother arrived on the scene then and saw me lying there on the table in the hospital, like, and then I think they cut the trousers off me then, and then they brought me in for x-ray, into the x-ray department, and I seem to remember them getting me to move my leg during the x-ray, I think it was, and I remember being in pain when moving my leg. And so then that the x-rays confirmed then that I had a broken femur bone, and what else, and so then after that then I was in hospital then for 8 weeks in traction, in a splint, like. And I think, now luckily enough, I was so young at the time, like 6 going on 7 years of age, I didn't need surgery, but I do remember them bringing me over to the operating theatre, and I think they were working out a plan of action there, like what to do. So deciding what to do. So I think they put me in, yeah, like traction. I was in traction, like, for about. Well, I was in hospital for 8 weeks. I don't know if I was in the traction for the full 8 weeks or not, but you know, I was definitely in hospital for the full 8 weeks anyway. I would have been in it for longer, only my mother decided to my mother decided to take me home a little bit earlier, as the hospital could not do any more for me anyway. So then when I came home, then I was on a walker for a little while, a walking aid, and I needed some physiotherapy, because when I came home my leg was bent upwards. I could not straighten my leg when I came home, so I needed physiotherapy for that. So thankfully I made a good recovery from it. So I did. The fact that I was very young at the time, that was a big help. I think if it was, naturally enough, if it was now, then it would be a lot harder, I think. Anyway, and you know, some people have said like, to my parents, whatever, that I was lucky to have survived accident, because as someone said, that if the wheel of the tractor had crossed me a few inches higher, then I probably would not be alive. Then I would not be alive today. So that's rather a scary thought when you think of it. So yeah. So, and I was just looking up another video there on YouTube about someone who had broken their femur, and they had, whoever uploaded the video, they had put up on the video that 60%, what is it, 60% of femur breaks can result in death due to the femur puncturing the artery. So I got a bit freaked. I freaked out a bit when I saw that, because oh my God, I thought to myself how lucky I was. So to be not amongst that 60% that have died, So anyway, now even today, 25 or just over 25 years after the accident, I would still, maybe I would not severe pain, but I would still maybe get a little feeling there, where you'd know that the femur bone has been broken on the thigh area there. So especially yesterday there, now when I was driving in my car, and I had my window down when I was driving along, and the breeze coming in the window, and the breeze was hitting my right leg, and I could feel the feeling there of where the bone was broken when the breeze was hitting it. And sometimes if I'm walking for a while, I can kind of feel it a bit too around the thigh area, and I was told that was normal, because I read about somebody else who had broken an ankle when they were a kid. Now they're an adult, and they still get some feeling of where the break took place. So but that's only a small thing. That's only a small thing as in comparison, So anyway, please excuse me if I have been repeating myself. Unfortunately, I can't help that, as it is a habit that I have. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video for now, and peace.